Hey guys, before we get into today's video, a quick message for everyone who is traveling this summer. If you are going abroad, one thing you definitely don't want is to waste time looking for Wi-Fi or paying crazy roaming fees. That's why I recommend using Saily. Saily lets you get mobile internet in more than 200 destinations around the world, and you can set everything up before you even leave, and as soon as you land, you are connected. No need to swap your physical SIM card, no complicated setup, and no surprise changes when you get back home. I've been traveling constantly this summer, and having a reliable internet connection is essential. Whether it's checking the latest transfer news, uploading content, replying to messages, or simply using Google Maps, being connected makes a huge difference. And so if you are traveling anytime soon, give Saily a try. Just download the app, choose the plan that works best for your destination, and don't forget to use my code Here we go to get 15% off your purchase. The link is in the description. And now let's get into today's transfer news. Here we go. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Fabrizio Romano here as always to keep you posted on the transfer market. And today guys, more news, more updates. The market is always moving and we jump into it together for all the latest, for all the transfer news as every single day. And so let me start with the latest news just received on my phone. Leandro Trossard leaves Arsenal. It's an important news because Leandro Trossard has been a very good player for Arsenal. Always there, never seriously injured, always very serious, never creating a problem, super professional, scoring goals, delivering assists. We can only say positive things about Leandro Trossard, and now it's over between Arsenal and Trossard because he's going to get a big salary contract until June 2030 at Besiktas. And it's a here we go. The deal has been approved by the player, was agreed Arsenal-Besiktas a few days ago, 18 million euros plus 2 in add-ons for Arsenal. And now Besiktas also closed the deal with the player, with his agent. He will travel tomorrow to Istanbul for medical test and contract signing. Leandro Trossard, new winger for Besiktas, new winger for the coach Vincenzo Italiano. And so Trossard leaves Arsenal, and it also means the beginning of the summer movements for Arsenal. The beginning of a new backup winger. Christos Tzolis from Bruges is a name for sure on the short list. The player is waiting for Arsenal. There was contact in June, and now Tzolis is waiting to understand if Arsenal will proceed or not. Then on the other side, the top winger. Arsenal will sign a top winger, and Morgan Rogers remains a name for sure on top of their short list, waiting to understand what's going to happen with Aston Villa, starting at £130 million. So we will have plenty of things to say about Arsenal. I mentioned Aston Villa, and on Aston Villa, the busiest day probably of the last few years at Aston Villa, because the wake-up call was with Yuri Tielemans. Yuri Tielemans joining Manchester United from Aston Villa. I can add you something on this one. For those who love the details of the deal, Yuri Tielemans is signing a 5-year contract at Manchester United. And also important to mention, Yuri Tielemans has arrived in Manchester, was on his way earlier today. He's already in Manchester, and then everything will be completed in the next 24 hours. So Yuri Tielemans set to become a new Manchester United player. £35 million, release clause triggered, contract done. Excellent signing for United. Yuri Tielemans. Don't forget Andrei Santos official, and don't forget that Ederson, as I told you, is off with Atalanta. So not happening Ederson to Manchester United. More movements, guys, on defenders. I want to mention two names who could be on the move in the next weeks, in the next eventually days. One is Antonio Silva. Antonio Silva has decided not to sign a new contract at Benfica. Benfica tried to get a new contract done. He only has 1 year left on his contract at Benfica, and the message coming from Antonio Silva's camp is that the decision has been made between Antonio Silva, his agent Mendes. He will not sign a new contract at the club. And so Antonio Silva could be an interesting one for Premier League clubs in the next days and weeks. So keep an eye on Antonio Silva, because from Premier League they are very attentive to this opportunity. And another name is Benjamin Pavard, the former French international, World Cup winner a few years ago. Today, Kyiv Inter manager said he's our player, we will evaluate. You know the decision we made 1 year ago? Well, the decision remains clear. Pavard can leave Inter this summer, and Pavard can become an opportunity as well. So Pavard and Antonio Silva are two names to follow for sure on the market in the upcoming days and weeks, because both of them are expected to leave their clubs. So interesting situations to develop quite soon. Then guys, to enter into the second part of this video, let me mention Mason Greenwood, because Manchester United already communicated yesterday to Olympique Marseille and to the agents of Greenwood, to the lawyer of the player, that they will not in any case, activate the buyback clause for Greenwood. That was part of the conversation. When you are signing a player who has a buyback clause, before closing the deal, as Fenerbahce are doing, because Fenerbahce are closing in on this deal for Mason Greenwood, you need to inform the club owning the buyback clause in order to make sure they don't want to use the clause. Man United made clear that yesterday, and Man United are set to receive more than 10 millions from Mason Greenwood as part of the sell-on clause they included in the deal. Probably you remember what I told you in February, in March. For Man United, there is going to be the sales in the summer. They've been quite unlucky also with Bano Lugarte, for example. Lugarte was going to leave the club, but now he got injured, and we wish him all the very best to recover as soon as possible. But Man United get money from Rasmus Højlund and also get money from Mason Greenwood. So that one is also going to be an extra budget for Manchester United after they already spent £85 million on Yuri Tielemans, combined fee on Yuri Tielemans and on Andre Santos. So Greenwood expected to join Fenerbahce with the deal moving in final stages, and Manchester United getting their own money from this move. Then guys, more to mention also on two players. One is Ferran Torres. I keep receiving questions about Ferran Torres because today Paris Saint-Germain, we gave the exclusive story. Lucas Digne to PSG is a here we go. 3-year contract, transfer fee under 10 million euros. PSG paid the release clause. And so, as I told you, for Aston Villa, Manzambi, done. He's joining Ajax to Newcastle. Yuri Tielemans leaving, going to Manchester United. Lucas Digne is leaving and going to Paris Saint-Germain. So very busy hours at Aston Villa. But on Ferran Torres, we have to talk about this one. Ferran, in conversations with Paris Saint-Germain, his agents are in conversations with Paris Saint-Germain. What I can add to this story is that Ferran would be eventually open to taking the role that was the role of Gonzalo Ramos. Gonzalo Ramos went to Milan and he was the backup option for Paris Saint-Germain. The weapon ready for Luis Enrique in the second half, maybe in the last 20, 25, 15 minutes. That what would be the option also for Ferran Torres, also to rotate. In Ligue 1, Paris Saint-Germain rotate a lot, sometimes also in Champions League when there are problems or injuries. So PSG want to make sure their backup squad can be very good. And so this is why Lucas Digne, and this is why they are talking to the agents of Ferran Torres. There is still nothing agreed between Ferran Torres and Paris Saint-Germain. It's just a conversation between PSG and the agents. The agents are talking to other clubs, so we have to be patient. We have to see what's going to happen there. But Paris Saint-Germain are considering 2-3 options for the backup role in that position, in the position behind the top strikers they have, Desiree Doué, Kvaratskhelia, Ousmane Dembélé, and all the others. Also because, remember, Barcola could be an interesting move, an interesting name to follow this summer. He's not untouchable. He's not untouchable. And then, on Michael Olise, guys, today, again, so many questions. The rumors on Olise keep coming, guys. I keep repeating you the same on Michael Olise. Olise was, and is the Galactico in Florentino Perez's mind. The Julian Alvarez story has never been really concrete. The player wanted by Florentino before, now, and in the next years, if he can do it now, is Michael Olise. Florentino Perez loves Michael Olise. I keep telling you every single week, every single video. There is pure admiration by Florentino Perez for Michael Olise. Now, it's going to be important to understand in terms of conversations with Bayern if there is any chance to open doors to an exit this summer. At the moment, Bayern insists they want to keep the player. They don't want to let Michael Olise go. So I think it's going to be difficult and complicated at this stage. But in case there is even a small way to make it happen, Real Madrid, whether it's this summer, next summer, 2027, or whenever, Real Madrid love Olise. And Real Madrid believe, the president, Florentino Perez, believes that Michael Olise is the perfect player for Real Madrid quality, Real Madrid style, Real Madrid Galactico mentality. So, let's see, this depends on Bayern, and Bayern, as of today, insist they want to keep, absolutely, Michael Olise. On this and much more, guys, remember to like this video, to turn on the notification bell, to subscribe to the channel, to be part of the family every single day. We are here together, updating you on the market, and so see you here on YouTube as every single day with all the very latest. Thank you.